a little bit better in terms of starting the race a little bit smoother. And of course not having any glitches, which of course no one's fault, but if you are watching post-race, be sure to skip ahead to the intro, which I will do again, and hopefully we can get ourselves started very, very soon, and not waste too much time in waiting around in the lobby. Everyone is ready to go. Everyone's sort of we're not going to wait around 20 minutes post where when we're meant to start. And yeah, that should be all good, I reckon. In terms of everyone getting in, just hope that there's no glitches. So yeah, hopefully we can get everyone in. I think we're getting a couple of people into the stream now. 16 people now in, so we've actually gained a guy. I think it is the, I think is it Yeah Gamer, nicknamed Michael Massey in the Discord. I think that's who we've gained. He's in a Ferrari, bringing us a Ferrari onto the grid. I don't actually know if we've had one. I don't think we do. No, he's bringing us a Ferrari onto the grid. I think it gives one for at least every team, or at least I think so. It does indeed give us one driver for at least every team. That's pretty good. But yeah, everyone coming in now, and shouldn't be too long until we get going. Very much fingers crossed. Such a legendary commentator, sure. Whatever you say. How many spinning at Cobbs? About 40. Easily 40, I reckon. And I do apologise if I sound tired. I've had a busy day and a busy weekend as a whole. Of course, Friday was spent sweating out homework, so too was most of Saturday, and then at 5 o'clock Saturday I was until 10 on Le Mans, then up at 5 to do Le Mans, and then yeah, it's been crazy. Had a bit of a nap during the Netherlands GP, even though I was rooting for Max all the way through. I fell asleep maybe once or twice for a 5-minute kip, but other than that, it's been good. Lewis McGlade is in. Still, Sumo's got Abu Dhabi as his stream name. One sec, I need to let him know that this is wrong. He's being too. Hello, Scott. Welcome in. Yeah, it's been big. Working towards something, and it was good for the championship, and I'm happy for Max, but it wasn't the most action packed race. To be fair, it went by quite quickly because obviously the laps are quite short, so they just tick by relatively quickly. I'm sure Lewis will very much disagree with me, though he had a Mackey's during the race. But we are getting underway. We're getting readied up and ready to go. So finally, I think we can finally say hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to APPF1 Sunday Night Sprint Championship. And after taking a week off because of the awkward proceedings of the Belgian Grand Prix, APPF1 is back for round 2 of the Sprint Series. Today we tackle both a loved and a hated track on the calendar, but first we head to Silverstone, home of the British Grand Prix, and one of only 4 tracks to have been both on the first iteration of the Formula 1 calendar and this modern day one. The others, of course, Monaco, Spa and Monza. However, Silverstone is special in its history, hosting the first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix, and with its exhilarating, fast and flowing corners, drivers require a certain courage to bring home the win tonight. And then, of course, after that we head to Russia and to the Sochi Autodrome for our reverse grid sprint race. And whilst real life doesn't bring much optimism in the way of this race, in sim racing it can provide action and drama to spice up the mix. As always, I am Zach Sweeney, bringing all of the Sunday action, and I certainly cannot wait. So buckle up and get ready for round 2 of the Sprint Championship. And well, qualifying already in the books because of the we already did qualifying. We hope that that we could have carried on straight away from qualifying. And while we hoped that we could get underway straight away, it unfortunately didn't end like that, and we had to restart lobby, which is where we are now. Won't take too long. Welcome in Lewis Kearton, promoted to Tier 1 in the Rants F1 League. Very well done, big pleasure, and hopefully in a week's time. Of course I won't be on it tonight, as I just need a bit of a break after this, but we go for the formation lap. Finally, for the formation lap, it is Kearton on pole position, Davila P2, only 0.008 of a second separating the two and aces, less than half a tenth back off pole. Sumo as well, only a tenth and a half off. He's in P4 with AP rounding off the top 5. Vardy P6 with Ted P7. MX P8 with Gilbert and Blair rounding off the top 10. Deer in P11 with Patterson in P12, goes to P13, Jack Lacko, Starry and Gamer rounding off the grid there in the Ferrari, starting on the medium compound tyre. In fact, a lot of people are outside the top 10. Tier, Patterson, Starry and Gamer all opting for that alternate strategy. However, everyone else is opting to go for the softs, bar Vardy, who started the race inside the top 10, so P6. On the mediums, definitely a good effort. Only I think about 5/10 off pole. Pole was at a 26.3, and Vardy did I think a 26.8, and wasn't that far off Pal. So yeah, very good showing from him there. But Kearton weaving around, you can see, just trying to put some temperature into those tyres. You need a good launch here because going side by side into Abbey can end catastrophically. It's not particularly the biggest braking zone, but it's flat out, and if Davila gets a good run up the inside, pretty comfortably up the inside, he will take that lead and have that inside. Of course, the predicted pit stop strategy, soft to medium or soft to hard. You want to be putting around the lap 7 to 12 mark and stretching those soft tyres as long as you can. Of course, the soft compound tyres and the mediums very durable around Silverstone. They don't go off they don't go off pretty quickly in the game. You can take the softs for quite a while, you can take the mediums for even longer. Vardy is ridiculously quick around here. He is indeed. Vardy, one of the quickest, of course, in 2020. Didn't participate in pre-season, I think was probably one of the biggest surprises of the year, as you've got Gamer going around on the formation lap. Luckily, damage isn't on and he's disqualified from this session. Of course, probably falling a bit too far back and being stopped on track didn't help. And yeah, everyone else lining up onto the grid now. 13 laps of the British Grand Prix, of course 25% race distance. Everyone lining up then ahead of the 5 red lights, waiting for that green flag, and hopefully we can get ourselves underway cleanly this time. McLaren on pole, a British team on pole. They've got the French just behind,
And then, of course, another British-based team, the Williams, of course. So we go to 5 red lights ahead of the British Grand Prix. Round 2 of the Sprint Championship is underway, and it's a pretty even start from pole position. But the AlphaTauri of Sumo has got an absolutely lightning start. Davila going backwards, side by side, and towards turn 1. Aces go side by side with the McLaren through farm and into farm and into village under brakes. Who's going to get ahead? It's Aces down the inside. The McLaren trying it around the outside, but Aces into the lead of the race. Davila down to second. Going to go for the switcheroo. There's yellow flags who set the one. I think Ghost has had an off, but a lovely switcheroo from Davila. Kington has fallen a little bit behind. He's going to have the slipstream though down the Wellington straight and towards Brooklands, pulling to the left-hand side. Has a little look. Thinks better of it. Sumo stays fourth with AP into P5. MX, of course, with a great start as he usually gets around the outside of Gilbert in towards Lovefield. The Haas of Blair as well looking to get involved. Can't quite find a gap through, so it is Aces that leads from Davila, Kington, Sumo and Palfshaw top 5 as they head down the old pit straight towards Cobbs. Bit of a squirmy MX, in fact the Red Bull looking down the inside, not always going to work of course, unfortunately. Here as well, the Haas in fact looking to go side by side with the Red Bull towards Magnus and Beckett around the outside. Ballsy move to make the Red Bull trying to stick through, but the Haas down the inside, very courageous move to make. And he made it work. I think there's been an off. Kington is round. One of the main protagonists for this race win has gone off through Magus, Beckett and Chapel. AP going to be running side by side with the Alpine of Sumo as well towards Stowe. There's Sumo around the outside. Paus claims the inside, runs him out of road on the exit. A change for the race leaders. Aces is under pressure from Davila, who's looking around the outside of Vale, but the Williams hangs on to retake the race lead. He leads off lap 1, followed by Davila. Pavs up into P3. A very lightning start for him. Vardy as well looking to get past Sumo. He's on the back of him, and we've got a little bit of a tiny tower glitch, which we can't unfortunately help. And in towards the loop for the second time. It's crucial that you get a good exit. Of course, no DRS until the 3rd lap. But we cut back to the fight for the race lead because it's incredibly close and it's going to be incredibly exhilarating to watch. Of course, Aces won a couple of races in pre-season. Davila is looking to chase after that first win in APPF1 on the new game, and he's going to be raring for it. He's got his teammate to back him up as well. And it's the Williams being chased after by the 2 Alpines. A retirement from the session. It's gamer out, and a VSC has been brought into action. Of course, the virtual safety car, you have to adhere to a 40% race speed delta. And you're basically pressing pause on the race. All the gaps are pretty much kept the same. And for the time being, it's just about keeping your tyres into a good window and not letting yourself get out of rhythm, get knocked out of rhythm. Of course, the tower now starting to sort itself out, which is good. It is because of Ghost and Patterson pitting off the first lap. But into the pit lane comes Aces then. He's taken a very bold strategy. The virtual safety car, of course, everyone going slowly. So he's going to lose a lot of places. A lot of people, in fact, deciding to come in. There's Aces, Vardy, MX, Jackalacco, Sumo as well deciding to come in. Jackalacco, a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As we go back to green flag racing once more. It's an Alpine at 1-2. Davila leading the way, followed by Paus. They've stayed out. Blair up into P3, Gilbert P4, and Tier rounding off the pit, rounding off the top 5. A very opportunistic, strategical move there. Of course, everyone going slow, so you gain time from pitting. You don't lose as much time, I should say. And on those mediums, he's already made that stop, and Paus and Davila will have to make it as well. DRS enabled as we come onto lap 3, then down the Wellington straight. The 2 Alpines leading the way. Paus, of course, looking to go for a 2nd race win in 2 rounds. Of course, taking the win last time out, I believe it was Austria. Oh no, it was in Australia for the last Sprint Championship. He managed to take the win. Very close. Very close finish towards the end. It was a beautiful switchback that I'm sure he's still watching back to this day. Looking at the track map, not quite a lot of action going on. And apart from this top 3 little train we've got going on, I'm sure Paus and Davila are going to be the 2 to work together. Those teammates will always work together. Alpine and Davila and Paus have a Constructors' Championship for a reason. They're really good at communicating and really good at voicing each other's concerns, worries and strategies, and will base each other's race off the other one. Help them to get higher. Of course, Paus won in the Tier 1 Championship because of Davila assisting with the DRS and allowing Paus to extend that lead and get himself out of that penalty range. So I don't believe there's going to be much fighting in the way of the top two. Kington trying to recover, of course, after that spin off of lap 1. Sets the fastest lap, a 1:28.222 for the McLaren, who's on the charge back up the field. Aces, of course, come into the pit lane off of lap 2 because of the VSC. I'm sure no one sticks a wheel up the inside. Let's hope not. Let's certainly hope not. MX, of course, on the back of Vardy, who's gone for the softs. That's going to be bold to take that to the end of the race. But it definitely can work to the race lead, though, because 5 tenths separate the two Alpines, and of course Blair only a couple of tenths back. 3-car train then for the race lead, lap 4 of 13, around about a third of the way through already in this race. And all of the top, oh, that's big off, that's Blair well into the gravel. How has he managed to save that one? That was a huge off, could have been an absolutely monumental crash. Got a bit of overheated tyres and dirty tyres from the grass as well, giving him a bit of some oversteer through Maggots, Beckers and Chapel, but he's managed to keep it going, keep it on the track. Palf's closing on his teammate. Is he going to go for the move? Looking to the right hand side. Is Davila going to fight this? Down the inside goes Palf's, and to not much competition from his teammate. Bit of a tag from behind. They've gone into AI, and that might have caught Davila off a little bit as they go into Vale for the 4th time, and it is Palfs that retakes the race lead. So close to contact between the two teammates, and the first rule of motorsport definitely is to not hit your teammate, because it always does help if you don't. But yeah, Blair, how he got that one and didn't go into the wall. Quick hands, quick reactions, kept it in a straight line. Patterson is out of this British Grand Prix, and a full course safety car, is now out on lap 5 because of Patterson DNFing. The stewards deem it to not be safe for the race to continue under green flag. And definitely a very big gain for the Alpines. Of course, Davila now backing up the field to allow Palfs to have that gap under the safety car so they can double stack. They both need to pit under the safety car, otherwise they're going to lose out a ton to the cars behind. So Palfs getting that gap, needs around about 6 seconds or so to cleanly get it done. So Palfs comes into the pit lane. Are Alpine going to double stack? They are. They're going to go for it. Palfs needs to be quite quick into the pit lane. Alpine, the other Alpine of Davila needs to be quite slow into the pit lane is to allow his teammate a bit of time. But will Sari take the race lead? No, of course he comes into the pit lane, so too does Kington. Aces though, it's a very slow pit lane, it's a very long pit lane here at Silverstone. 39 kph I think is the speed limit. It's one of the longest pit lanes. You're at a slow speed for a long time, from Vale all the way down to the exit of Abbey and to Farm. So Aces might retake the race lead here. Of course Palfs now heading out of his pit box. He's going to be very close between the two. I think Palfs is going to come out in the race lead. In fact he will, followed by Blair, Gilbert and Davila, who's fallen down to P4. It's going to be very close between the two. AP now heading out. There's Aces. It's going to be very close. Aces just taking the race lead. And Palfs having to settle in for P2. Gilbert and Vardy going to be side by side on the exit. So too are Vardy and Blair, I apologise. Running side by side with Vardy for P4. Blair just managing to get himself ahead. Vardy though on the soft compound tyres will enable him to be quicker off the restart and be all good in that regard. But AP in fact has gotten the race lead. Maybe Ace has got an illegal overtake it, so Palfs does in fact keep the race lead. Vardy going up the inside of one of the cars. He gained a position. Maybe the Red Bull overtook him, but Davila down to P6 because of that double stack and of course the busy pit lane. And of course a lot of other drivers, Tier, Sumo, MX, Ted, Jackalackle and Ghost, all opting to go for fresh soft compound tyres. So too is Starry, who's in P7. That's going to be a huge advantage because you're going to be on the softer tyres. They're not going to have much time to wear out, and so those on the softs going to have a huge advantage and very much could blitz their way through the field. Look out of course for MX because he's aggressive, he's fast, he will get the job done. He just needs to save that ERS, and he's using it under safety car in order to catch up to the field, of course. And of course, yeah, it's understandable to catch the safety car quicker, and it gives him more time, of course, to save the ERS. And I'm going to imagine we're going to get one more lap under the safety car. But lap 6 of 13 under safety car conditions, halfway through this race then. And we spent most of it under the yellow flag. Of course, we had fights for the race lead and also critical podium positions and a crash from Kington. He's managed to recover so far to P8, and that can definitely be more. He was, of course, fastest in qualifying, and he's looked good in the race, bar one mistake through Untitled Chapter, a very costly mistake at that. Will be one more lap under the safety car. We'll get going on to lap 8. We'll have lap 8, 9, 10, 11 and 13, 12 and 13 of course, in order to finish this race out. So still a long way to go, still very crucial times for a lot of these drivers. Blair looking to get his first podium in that Haas, and of course is up by quite a few positions, by 7 positions. The biggest gainer bar Starry on the grid, and the biggest loser is Kington, down 7. So biggest gainer of 8, biggest loser of 7. Pretty balanced, in fact, between the winner and the loser. But Palf's his race pace coming through. Of course, used to be very, very good at qualifying, fell back a little bit in the race. Now it seems to afflict itself on the head. While he's still decent in qualifying, his race pace and his consistency really helping him out in getting themselves into these prime positions to go for those race wins. Of course, this time last season it wasn't much of an expectation for Palfs to be there. A podium would have been nice for him. And of course, in season 1, you were not expecting him to finish anywhere inside the top 5. But there were a couple of times where he shone through and he had that pace. But now he can deliver on a consistent basis. And Palfs, yeah, doing a great job. So too is Aces in P2. He again is someone to look out for. 3-lap old medium tyres. He's going to be on the charge towards Palfs. It's going to be hard because of his tyre deficit being a little bit older, a bit more worn out. But Vardy, 3-lap old softs. Will be probably the quickest, get himself into that top 3, and a podium for Vardy definitely will be good. He's obviously quick at Silverstone, not so quick on the F1 2021 game. However, yeah, Silverstone probably his favourite track and will help him get to that podium place. Safety car in this lap though, so Palfs does become the effective safety car. You can see weaving around left to right, right to left, getting some temperature into those tyres, backing up the field so that he's got a nice clear gap to the safety car. Then he's got full jurisdiction as to when to punch it. Weaving around the safety car, peels its way into the pit lane. Palfs now with full jurisdiction over the field. He's got between now and the timing line to punch it. What he can't do is go and then stop. I'm sure Palfs knows what he's doing to be consistent out of the exit of Vale and towards Club. He's punched it. We're back on the green flag racing. A good restart from Palfs. So too from the rest of the top 3. Aces and Blair react very, very well. Blair practically all over the back of Aces as they go through Abbey for the first time. Pretty much equal elsewhere. With Sumo getting the overtake done on Tier. He might have gone a little bit wide and towards Abbey. In fact, they're going to be running side by side. Tier on the left hand side, backs out of it though and gives Sumo that top 9 position. Davila trying to be on the comeback towards the top 5. Also yellow flash to set the one. I think MX has gone round, unfortunately, has made a mistake, pushing a bit too hard. Coming towards Brooklands for the first time then is AP that leads from Aces and Blair. Your top 3. Vardy still chasing. And all over the back from no DRS, of course, until the 3rd lap after the restart, which will be on lap 11. But Vardy getting a really good run off of that corner, or so we thought. But Blair lagging a little bit. That's going to hinder Vardy's progress as he can't really tell where he's overtaken, where to overtake, and where his opponent is. And when you can actually see where your opponent is, that does go a long way and does help. Welcome in, IG8. Pleasure to have you in, man. Hope everything's going well for you. Gilbert on the back of Vardy, of course, is pretty much a 6-car train for the race lead, all within a second of each other. Palfs, though, leading well. He's managed to get a good restart, burning through a bit of ERS. So too is Aces to try and keep that gap, of course. So long as he can stay within 1 second, he'll get that benefit of DRS, the drag reduction system, an extra 20 kbh or so, which will help in overtaking. Definitely will be a nice assist. Palfs knows how to defend though, he knows how to attack, he knows how to race. Davila trying to get past Gilbert, but again can't quite get close enough, does not want to ride over that massive sausage curve on the exit of Club. Vardy though, closest car on track to an overtake. Bar Ted down in P12. We're right on board with him in trying to get past Jack Lacko towards Abbey. Is he going to go for anything? Needs to have a good run, keep it flat. Yellow flash, reset the one. That's Kington again. A big crash for the pole sitter and one of the main contenders for this race win. No battle between the two Honda Power cars, the two Red Bull family cars of the AlphaTauri and Red Bull down the Wellington Straight. Once more, Aces still trying to close that gap to Power. Won't be much happening until we get to the next lap, lap 10 I should say, will be when DRS is enabled. Aces though, very equal gaps between both Blair and Aces and Paus. They're pretty much separated by equal amounts each, but goes very wide, does Blair. Tries to keep the foot in, gets a bit of a snap and needs to abort to the runoff areas to not spin the car. I think that was more cautionary as he goes very wide again, and that's going to cost him all through the sequence of corners. You have to get every single one right, otherwise it's going to be a poor time. This is Vardy closing on Blair, who's out of ERS deployment. You can see that flashing red light. It's going to be like a bull chasing red when it comes to Blair being under attack from Vardy, because he's going to be reduced power output. He's lost touch to the two leaders in front as a swap for P10 between Jackalacco and Ted further back. Going to stay on board with this though. DRS is enabled. We're going to see maybe a fight for the race lead, a fight for the podium at the very least on this lap through Abbey. Then completely flat out Blair, a 3-second time penalty that will well and truly convincingly see him off the podium. But it's crucial for Aces to get a good launch off this corner. Of course, he's got the older tyres compared to Paus, but he got a very good launch off the loop. And now through Aintree, Paus going very wide. The DRS is enabled for Aces. Is he closing? I don't think he's going to be using his ERS too much. That's Vardy in the background though, going side by side with the Haas to the left-hand side in towards Brooklands. The Haas does not fight that one too hard, and Vardy up into the podium places now on those soft compound tyres, trying to catch up to the leaders, and finally with maybe a little bit of clear air to do so, not being held up by the Haas who was in front of him. Paus still leads. Aces P2. Ace is going to want that win. He's going to want to try and extend the get himself up in the championship. Of course, it's Ghost that probably will be losing the championship lead after this race. Ghost, of course, in a three-way fight for P10. Everyone scores points in AP, but every position counts. Davler, a 3-second time penalty also in this race. As you go back to the fight for the race lead, they go down the hanger straight and towards Stowe. I think that both are just saving their ERS. They're being conservative. They're not really wasting much. That's Davila getting himself past the Red Bull yellow flags, who set the 2. That's MX again round and out of contention. So too for Kington. I think he's gone for another spin. Indeed he has. He's in the wall. But for both of these guys, he's retired. That's going to be the back of the grid. All he had to do was 4 more laps. In fact 3 more laps. Aces goes faster, so too does Vardy. 27.5 now, the fastest lap of this race. 4 tenths between our two race leaders. But for Kington, only a couple more laps. He'd have had the reverse grid pole now handed to MX, which is unfortunate. But Jackalacco, a 3-second time penalty. Lap 11 of 13. DRS once more for Aces, who's activating that ERS through Aintree. He's going to be tucked up in the slipstream. He's going to be closing. You can see Paus looking at his mirrors, goes defensive down the Wellington Straight. And under pressure for sure, looking at his mirrors as opposed to forwards. This is allowing Vardy to close that gap a little bit through Luffield, taking a nice V-shaped line to get that run off. Tier, of course, a 3-second penalty also, and burning through his ERS, that energy recovery system, that battery, an extra 160 brake horsepower for at the push of a button. Dropping it through Cops and towards Magnus and Beck. It's going to be hard to stay with him in the dirty air. The Williams certainly just needs to maximise that exit off of Beckett and Chapel and really get a good run. You can see he's done exactly that now through Chapel. DRS open down the hanger straight. Paus already going defensive. The Williams closing at a rate of knots, pulling to the left hand side goes Paus. The Alpine to the left hand side. The Williams goes down the inside, and a change for the race lead because Aces takes the race lead on lap 11 of 13, but Paus will not give up easily. He looks to the inside of Vale, doesn't quite think to go for it. He's going to stick with him. He's got the fresher tyres. He's got slightly more in the battery than Aces. As they go down the Hamilton Straight, the newly dubbed Hamilton Straight. Aces purple to the final sector, so incredibly quick. As Blair fallen victim to Davila as well. 1.8 seconds between Davila and the top 3. However, that penalty going to see him a little bit further back. Vardy now looking to put that pressure on Paus. Also, bit deep into the loop goes Aces though. This could open the door for Paus to launch a counter-attack. DRS open. Is he going to go for the move? He's looking at his mirrors as opposed to going forwards. Vardy looking to the right-hand side in towards Brooklyn's going to go around the outside using that soft compound tyre grip. But the Alpine claims the corner, gets himself ahead, and Vardy can't quite convert that move into a P2. But still for Palps, it's so awkward being that middle man in a 3-car train because you're having to attack, you're having to defend, and all the time you're just losing touch to the leader. Every time you do have to defend. A very nice camera angle, but coming through Maggins and Beckett, you can see the Aston Martin has got an absolute world of a launch. But of course, thinks better to go for it into such a fast section of the circuit where snipping a wheel up the inside is always going to end in disaster and catastrophe. To the left-hand side goes the Alpine, the Aston Martin now closing and closing. Is he using his ERS? No, he's not. He's staying behind. He doesn't want to lose touch of Aces. They're both working together. The penultimate lap, right about a lap left to go in this race as we approach the final corner for the penultimate time. And it's all down to Palps to utilise everything he's got left on this final lap. So too for Vardy. As long as he keeps it clean, he could look good for a race win here. He's got the ERS. He's got the DRS, of course, and the double slipstream down the 2 straights. He's just got to pick his way through, got to get through 1. He's going to pull to the right-hand side of Palps in towards Village. Gets it stopped just about, but Palps around the outside, keeps that position, defends well. This is allowing Aces to extend his lead, though, a little bit deep into the loop once more for Aces, allowing Palps a bit of a squirm from the Aston Martin. DRS open as they go through entry and down the Wellington straight. The Alpine defending thinks that the Aston Martin isn't quite close enough to go for the move, so it is still Aces, Palps and Vardy, your top 3. Davila unable to close the gap in these final stages. Lap 13 of 13, we've had a VSC without a full course safety car. We've had very interesting strategies from both Aces and Palps, and a great fight all the way through. And it could be any one of these 3 that take the win. Through Cops, bit wide from the Aston Martin. That could open the door for Vardy to maybe go for a move. Does not want to get a penalty though, as we'll definitely see him out of the touching and out of the running for the win. MX though, the fastest lap, a 27.0. That's an extra point going his way. DRS open as you go down the hanger straight for the final time. Ace is low on ERS. This is going to allow Palps to close at a rate of knots. He's closing. He has a little look in towards Stowe. He's going to try and set up the switcheroo and go for that dive in towards Vale. Maybe the final lap of the race. The Williams defends the Alpine to the right hand side. He's going to go all the way around the outside of Vale. The Aston Martin looking up the inside. The door was open for him. He's going to stick it around the outside in towards Clark, side by side, nearly across the line. But it's Aces that takes the win ahead of Palps and Vardy, your top 3, with Davila P4. Blair comes across the line P5, but with penalties will finish P6. With Tier in P7, but of course with penalties, Sumo P6 at the end of it. Ghost P7, a great recovery drive from having a bit of a spin. Sari P8, Blair P9 with Ted the top 10, Tier P11, Jackalacco P12 and MX the final of the finishers very far back in P13. So after 13 laps of racing, again sorry for the interruptions, but it is the Williams of Aces that cruise home. A very chaotic final couple of corners, with Palps having a look, the Aston Martin then of course up the inside. Had a brief look and a brief bit of hope, but a squirm, and champagne being sprayed on the podium. A very deserved win for a British driver in a British car at the British track. It is Aces then that leads a British 1-2, him and Palps in P1 and 2. Vardy rounds off the podium in P3. A stellar drive from actually the Brit. It's a full Brit podium here in Silverstone, with 2 of the cars in fact being British. Davila P4 with Gilbert P5, Sumo P6 with Ghost P7, Starry P8 with Blair P9, Ted of course rounding off the top 10 with Tier P11, Jackalacco P12, and MX the last of the finishers. Kingston, Patterson and Gamer all out of this race and will be starting at the back for the Russian Grand Prix.
And Russia is going to be a very interesting race. Of course, reverse grid. There's going to be a lot of people trying to dart their way through the traffic. The faster guys, Vardy, Davila, Paus, and of course Aces, are going to be trying to funnel their way through. It's going to be quite difficult for them to do. Of course, Sochi doesn't exactly promote the most overtakes in the world. We'll have a quick look if there's any updates to the British lap records. I don't think so. The quali record of 26.1 by Ghost, and the race record was a 27.3. So I think both records still stand, and no lap records broken. We'll have a quick look for Sochi. None set, of course, on the new game. On 2020 though, it was a 1:30.793 for Speed Alcoholic in the Tier 1 Championship Season 1 round 14, and then again converted to a race record of a 32.943 again in that same race. Speed Alcoholic very much a lapping god. So too is Vardy on F1 2020. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14 lap records are held by Vardy alone. I think that's how alienated he was on that old game. He's come on to this new game. He's got his first podium, of course, P3. Not at all a bad result. But for Paus, that allows him to bridge the gap to Ghost in the championship after losing a lot of points in Singapore. But still, anything can happen in the second race. You can bridge more, you can lose a little bit more. But a brief little intermission while we wait for Dave to sort out the track, sort out the grid, of course, as well, and all the settings. But yeah, it's going to be a good race, hopefully. And I think we are getting underway. We are indeed loading in. Everyone readying up. So I think the grid is sorted. That was quite swift for Davila. Managed to get it through pretty quickly, and sorted pretty damn quickly also. But yeah, 12 seconds on the timer then, ahead of the reverse grid sprint race, which it always is a spectacle. Hopefully I won't. Hopefully it's not going to be too chaotic of a start. Of course, the longest run to the first braking zone on the calendar. Of course, turn 1 is that little kink to the right, and then turn 2 is the braking zone you see on your screen now. Turn 2 and 3, that fast left-hander, pretty much flat out, I think, in both quali and race spec. So very very fast corners here, just not very inviting for overtakes. So loading in then to the Russian Grand Prix.
So green for the formation lap then, pretty similar strategy, soft to mediums as per usual. It's MX on pole ahead of Jack Galacco, Tia and Ted the second row, third and fourth, with Blair rounding off the top 5. Starry P6, Ghost P7 with Sumo in P8, Gilbert P9 with Davila P10, Vardy P11 with House P12, Aces vs Kings in P13 with Kington 14th, Patterson and Gamer rounding off the final row of the grid in 15th and 16th, the 8th row and the final row of the grid. Expect MX to get a really good start and probably sail off into the distance unless he's pressurised off the start. That will probably be everyone's best bet in doing so, because he's a very quick driver starting at the front. As you can see, leading around the formation lap in towards the fast flick left-hander of turn 8. In race spec, it's quite difficult. That curb can definitely catch you out on the inside. Longest creep today. Well, it was a very slow push from my dog, who decided that he wanted to come in and commentate. So a very slow and subtle push. But as they come through now towards turn 12 and 13, this is going to be a very prime overtaking opportunity down the inside of turn 12. There's the inside, the outside of 13 if the guy's still on the outside. As you go through, bit of a quick flick left. 4 people disqualified from the session: Gilbert, Davila, Patterson and Gamer, all unable to optimise their tyre warming because they just had a bit of contact maybe, or something has happened on the formation lap that's prevented them from doing so. But lining up onto the grid now is MX. Let's have a quick look at the tyre choices. Everyone on softs bar 2, that's Aces and Gamer, going for the alternate strategy. Hopefully both finish the race and hopefully both do relatively well and give us some action. However, lining up now for the start of the Russian Grand Prix here for round number 2, season number 4 of the APPF1 Sprint Championship. And we'll see how this race unfolds. 13 laps ahead of us. The Sochi Autodrome, been on the calendar since 2014 and has yet to give us a very entertaining race. Hopefully the AP guys can come through, come in clutch and give us one now. The green flag is waved. We go to 5 red lights of the Russian Grand Prix. MX on pole. Jakalako alongside. The reverse grid race is underway, and it's a very good start from second place for Jakalako, looking to put alongside MX, who's had an absolutely incredible second phase. There's Blair looking around the outside. They're going to go 3 abreast, his teammate and Jakalako, as they hurtle the way towards turn 2. MX having to defend. He's under pressure, nearly 4 wide at the backside. Jakalako down the inside, 3 abreast in towards turn 1 and 2. There's massive contact. There's Ghost being collected by one of the Hasses. I think it's Blair who's been collected. Yellow flags through the first sector. Palps as well has been collected, and that no damage as he's looking down the inside of Kington through turn 3, the outside of turn 4. There's big contact. Gamer's got into the side of Davila. There's carbon fibre everywhere. A very chaotic start to this race. He pulls himself onto track, scares the other Alpine of Davila as well off the track for a good measure. Blair now very much down the order, but here on the back of Jakalako. A very good start from MX though, who controls the race lead. 3/10 though of drift from Jakalako, who's going to put that pressure on. He goes wide, very wide through turn number 10 in towards 11. He's going to go for the switcheroo. We could see a change for the race lead here. He's going to have the slipstream, he's going to have the ERS, of course the Haas, and his teammate behind of Sumo is going to be looking to put the pressure on the Alfa Romeo. Very much under pressure, pulling to the right hand side over the inside for turn 12, the chicane. He's going to go for it. Jakalako, brave under brakes, gets it stopped. MX still on the outside, pushed off the road. It'll be the outside for turn 13. There's contact between the two, and MX is round. No, he's not. He's managed to hold it. Quickest hands in the Wild West for MX. He had a bit of a half spin, managed to catch it, and there is a spin. It's a spin of Patterson. He's gone round the Mercedes. Very chaotic, very dramatic start to this race. Yellow's still through the third sector. Ghost with a very much broken front wing, with no front wing. In fact, Jakalako inherits the race lead ahead of MX and Vardy P3, and a stellar start from both himself and Vardy. As DRS is not enabled, do not let it deceive you. As we're only on lap 2, not on lap 3. However, a very, very chaotic and dramatic start. Game unfortunately not seeing the checker flag at all this race. 4 drivers deciding to come into the pit lane. Tier, Davila, Ghost and Patterson all suffering damage off that opening lap. Palps still up 4 places and ahead of his main championship rival of Ghost, who at the moment, of course Palps not technically in the championship running because he's P10 coming in, but he's definitely got the pace to do so. coming through turn 6. As Ted has also retired from the session. That's an on-track crash. That's a VSC. A full course yellow has been brought into effect. Basically, again, pressing pause on the race as Ghost leaves the pit lane. And a very much bunched up amount of cars. Of course, we've got Jackalacco leading the way comfortably ahead of MX in P2. Vardy, of course, P3. Ace is 4th. Yeah, under VSC, of course, as I say, they have to adhere to that 40% race speed delta. And Patterson being given a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings under the VSC. Of course, Sochi is going to be very ruthless on the penalties because, again, there's a lot of runoff. There's all the tarmac runoff that you can easily exploit, and over the curbs, of course, it will be very easy. We go green once more, though. A great restart for Jack Lacko, still comfortably leading 1.1 seconds ahead of the pole sitter of MX, and Aces already looking to put that pressure on. Inherited third after Vardy coming to the pit lane and is going for probably medium compound tyres to the end of this race. Don't forget, Aces is on those medium compound tyres. And it's going to be slightly slower, or should be slightly slower than MX at this stage, especially because of how quick MX is. Maybe fallen off a little bit, had a bit of a knock to confidence, and maybe the aggression doesn't work out as bad as well for him anymore. But a little bit further back, you can see the Mercedes of Starry under pressure from Blair, the Australian being chased down by the man in the Haas car. Of course, the Red Bull and Alpine and McLaren of Gilbert, Powers and Kington, P6, 7 and 8, looking to join this fight as well. Through the fast flick left-hander towards the back straight. DRS will be enabled this lap. Kington is out of this session, though. He's got a bit of a squirm coming off that corner. We rode on board with Sumo there as he went through. Another VSC has been brought into effect. Vardy having to slow down. What I'm going to imagine has happened, he's gone over that curb, been a bit too optimistic on the throttle, and we'll ride on board with Vardy now as he goes through in towards the left. What I'm going to guess, over that curb, lost the rear and tried to catch it into the wall and bounced out. Unfortunately, can't grab a replay of that. However, that is my best guess as to what has happened. Jackalacco still leading the way. Anyone going to come into the pit lane? It is going to be MX. He's going to take the risk. So too is Aces, and also Starry. I believe no, Aces is staying out as we go. Well, we don't go green, but Starry still picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So Jacko and Aces both stay out. MX, Gilbert, Starry, Blair, Pau, Sumo all coming in. Under this VSC. We go green once more. It's a green flag racing, but no one's pretty much on track. They're all in the pit lane. It's a very chaotic pit lane. Who's going to come out on top? MX is going to get held for quite a while from that Haas. He comes out though on the medium compound tyre, looking quick. The Williams, or in fact the Alpine of Paus, has come through on 3-lap old soft compound tyres. Maybe that was to serve a drive-through, but he's right on the back of MX. Not on fresh tyres though, which is very strange. Indeed, very strange. But Vardy also on the back of Starry as they go through turn 3. Fast left-hander. Really got to give it everything. Really got to stick it as tight as you can to that inside. On board with Davila as he goes around the outside of the Mercedes and towards turn 2. Bit of contact between the two. Patterson trying to squeeze him all the way to the exit, but Davila went over that curb, claimed the corner, and there was a bit of contact between the two. No damage done though. Davila into P11. That's an extra point going his way. We've also got Vardy, the fight for P4 between himself and Starry. The Mercedes versus the Aston Martin. Vardy looking to get himself a double podium tonight and make amends for a pretty dismal start to the 2021 season for him. DRS open. He's going to use his ERS. He's going to use his slipstream. Of course, the Mercedes in front going to be quite vulnerable. So here comes the Aston Martin pulling. Doesn't really know where to go. Sells him the dummy. Pulls to the right hand side. It'll be the inside for the chicane. Late under brakes. Gets it done. Jobs are good. And he's up into P4. The Mercedes not with much to say about that. Jackalacco extending his lead at the front. A 33.835 for the time being. And some very quick fast lap. Not quite the lap record. But as soon as that fuel load starts going down, he might put some fresh tyres on. We could definitely see him doing so. Gilbert into the pit lane, the number 36 car, putting his way in. Starry another 3-second time penalty, unfortunately losing out once more. Gilbert coming out, serving, I believe, a drive-through penalty. Indeed, he was serving a drive-through. Not going to lose as much time, but he's going to be coming out behind people that have pitted. That's Starry out of the session. He's coming to the pit lane to DNF because he's realised that his penalties are not worth continuing for, and I'm sure He's going to be quite tired and want to go to sleep after that. 4 DNFs then already in this race. Ghost a 33.286. Well, fresh medium tyres. This is Sumo looking to the right hand side, down the inside of turn 1 and 2. Gets swept across from the house, and Sumo's been sent round. Big spin for Sumo. But then again, it was that half-hearted move, that half-hearted sort of, do I go for it, do I not? And then Blair just took his racing line, swept across Sumo, tagged his front left and sent him spinning round. That's unfortunate for the AlphaTauri. However, still got a while to recover, still over half of this race left to go. And while it's not 8 hours or 12 hours or 14 hours of Le Mans left to go, he's still got a little bit of a while left to go, a few laps in this race. As he comes through the quick flick right, very flicky corners, 90-degree S corners as well here at Sochi. But still waiting for the top 2 to come into the pit lane. As I say that, here comes Jack Alacco. Ace is staying out, confident in his pace that he can stretch the tyres out and go for softs. What I would do probably is come into the pits now and just go for softs, because that'll probably be the best bet for him. That'll be the quickest way around. But Jack Alacco, in he comes for a fresh set of medium tyres. Vardy will in fact maybe inherit P2, and that undercut under the VSC will pay dividends for him. Same too with MX, who's right on the back of Vardy, also going to have that DRS down towards turn number 2. He's going to have it. He's going to be in the slipstream. There's Jack Alacco, the previous race leader, caught out by the VSC, going to come out right in the middle of this fight. This is MX not quite close enough to launch the attack, and Jack Alacco feeding himself into the middle of this fight between MX and Paus. He's got a little bit of DRS, he's got fresh tyres, of course, as well to utilise. It's all down to Aces, all eyes on Aces versus Kings in order to get himself a big enough gap to come into the pit lane and still come out. 20 seconds. He'll have the softs as well to the end of the race. Compared to everyone else's mediums, Jack Alacco and Paus, pretty even gaps between themselves and their fastest car, the faster car in front of them. 8 tenths between Jack Alacco and MX, 6 tenths between Paus to Jack Alacco. But Vardy, definitely the man with the pace, and could be looking good for a race win here. Don't want to jinx it too soon, but he looks good. He's got the pace. Here comes Jack Alacco looking down the inside of MX once more, being very aggressive, getting his elbows out. MX goes off the road to try and keep that place. He's going to come back at him. AP looking to get involved with this fight as well. He's going to have the DRS. There's MX nearly into the wall. Are they going to run 3 abreast down towards turn 12? No, they're not. But AP has had an absolute amazing run. Is he going to send it under brakes on the AlphaTauri? No, he's not. But MX with a very poor run loses not 1 but 2 places, down to 5th. And AP up into 4th, Jack Alacco up into 3rd, with Aces into the pit lane. And there's all eyes now on 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th and even 6th to see who is going to come out, who's going to win this drag race towards turn 2 between them. As Vardy leaves the final corner, as Aces leaves the pit lane. It's not going to be long until he can disengage that pit limiter, but he's going to be caught out by quite a while. He needs to really knuckle down on those fresh soft compound tyres and get a move on. He's coming out in P6, just behind Gilbert, who too is on fresh soft compound tyres. I say fresh, they're 6 laps old. So too is Paus. I think they're all yet to pit, in fact. I've only just realised he spelled my name wrong, and I'm deeply offended. Lap 7 of 13 though, 6.5 laps left of this race remaining. Vardy leads from Jack Alacco, Paus P3, MX and Gilbert rounding off the top 5 with Aces just behind in P6, Tier P7, Patterson in P8 with Sumo and Ghost rounding off the top 10, and Davila and Blair rounding off the grid. Not been the best race for a lot of people, a lot of skirmishes, of course a very dramatic start to this race. We're going to go on board with Sumo, the other AlphaTauri, going down the inside of Patterson in towards turn number 5, gets it done, gets a clean run. The Aston Martin of Ghost looking to get through, not quite going to be able to take that open door, but he definitely got his foot in, tried, but the door slammed shut. Yellow flash who set the 2, is this going to be tear round as we go through? Indeed it is. He's into the wall. Don't think much damage to the front end of that Haas, but still a considerable amount nonetheless. Has Paus come into the pit lane? Let's have a look if he's stopped. No, he hasn't stopped. Cheers Lewis, appreciate it. However, this is Vardy closing in on, being closed in on by Jack Alacco. A retirement from Gilbert though, with a full-blown safety car being brought into effect. So if Aces just stayed out maybe one more lap, he could have benefited from it. MX does not hesitate at all. He comes straight into the pit lane, but unluckily for Paus, it comes out as he's passed. So he's going to have to wait a while. Hopefully while they all... Oh no, they're going to queue up behind the safety car. He's going to lose a lot of time. Paus is going to lose a lot of time because of this. And unless they're being allowed to overtake the safety car, not entirely sure. No, they're not, in fact. So Paus going to lose out heavily because of this. He's going to have to go to the mediums to the end of this race. Aces, though, could look good. Everyone's bunched up and close together. No penalties for the top 4, which I think I am actually quite surprised about. Not to be completely horrible or anything, but... lap 8 of 13 under the safety car conditions will be again a sprint to the finish. If it's not already a sprint, it's going to be a sprint of a sprint to the end, only a few laps, maybe not even getting DRS. I think we will get DRS with a couple of laps to go. If we're in this lap, that is, we might not well be in, and I think we're waiting for, that's Patterson, Davila and Tier at the backside. Those back 3, of course, with Sumo yet to catch up to the back of the pack as well. Should be fine, and at most we'll come in on lap 10 and have DRS on lap 12. As they all have to queue up behind the safety car. For probably one more lap or so, I think so, because Tier's joined the back of him. There's Jackalacco into the pit lane taking... no, it's actually Paus. I don't know why it put the graphic next to Jackalacco's name. Of course, he's already come into the pit lane and is going to lose out a tremendous amount under the safety car because the unfortunate timing of it. He's onto the mediums. He's definitely got pace, but is that pace good enough to climb himself up the grid, up the order? We'll soon find out. Paus has to pit. Indeed, he does. He's onto the medium tyres, and he's going to have to catch the grid. He's going to be at the back. He's going to be P11. But as long as he can get himself a good restart, get himself going, should be absolutely fine. Coming through then. Turn 3, and they're all going to queue up again. They're all going to need to try and warm up their tyres, moving left and right to left to get those tyres into a lovely little temperature window. 5 at DNFs, Gilbert, Starry, Kington, Ted and Gamer. Gamer yet to finish a race in APPF1, unfortunately tonight, has not gone his way, and he hasn't been able to convert any races into points finishes. However, as long as you do finish, you get points in AP. 20 for a win, 19 for second, 18, 17, 16, so on and so forth, down to just 1 for P20. However, if you retire or get DNF or DSQ, or if you retire or get DSQ'd, then you score no points for obvious reason. I think unless you complete 90% of the race distance, then you do technically still get classified in the race, which does go a long way. And I've just been delivered a cup of tea, which always helps. Finally, a cup of tea after 2 long days. Safety car in this lap as we get ourselves back on the green flag racing. Vardy will lead the way. He's going to have Jackalacco, that charging AlphaTauri, the charging bull, behind him, as well as Aces versus Kings, looking to make it 2 in 2 tonight. That'll be pretty tremendous if he can do it. He's definitely probably one of the favourites for the championship in both Tier 1 and the Sprint Championship, and it's going to be a spectacle to watch him do so. Ghost up into P4, and a remarkable recovery drive for him. We'll also have to see what Paus can do, but it is the Aston Martin then of Vardy that leads the way, weaving around left and right, still getting that temperature into the tyres. The safety car is in, the safety car light will turn off soon, and then it's down to Vardy to punch it. going to get very much slipstreamed. He's punched it. We're back under green flag racing through the final corner. Jackalaco has reacted well. He's going to have a lovely little slipstream through turn 1 down towards turn 2. That's Blair off through the final corner, not being able to get the optimal restart, but Jackalaco tucked up nice in his slipstream, using his ERS, using his slipstream very, very wisely. The Aston Martin looking in his mirrors, looking to defend. The AlphaTauri pulling to the right hand side, backs out of it. That's a change of position though. Ghost putting that pressure on Aces as he goes around the outside. He's going to go over that curb and have to back out here with a penalty. Jackalaco looking to keep his footing all the way around the outside of turn 3, the inside for turn 4. The AlphaTauri going for the race lead, backs out of it. Around the outside goes Vardy, scared off the track a little bit, missed the apex, gone straight on. And a very, very chaotic top 6 is Vardy from Jackalaco, Aces and Ghost. Your top 4 with MX managing to recover to the top 5. Palv still unable to make any progress through the field. And lap 10 of 13, that's one of the cars going around. I think it is Sumo who is out of this session, down to just 10 runners. No full course yellow as of yet. The AlphaTauri though putting that pressure on the Aston Martin. It's now a 3-horse race, could even be 4 because or even 5. There's still 2, 3, 4, 5 cars chasing this fight. Jackalaco and Vardy in the slipstream. The AlphaTauri looking to the inside, having to tuck back in. It's the left hand side, it's the outside for the chicane. Can't quite get close enough though, and Vardy holds his nerve in towards the turn 12 and 13 chicane. And the AlphaTauri just putting a bundle load of pressure on, making sure that he knows, that Vardy knows that he is there. And of course Ace is looking to pick away through. He's on the soft compound tyres, should be the quickest of the bunch. Coming towards lap 11, 3 laps left of this race remaining. Jackalaco losing an incredible amount of VRS. He's going to waste it all, but he needs to get through. He needs to try and launch that attack. Again, off the final corner, Vardy just gets such a good run, blitzes away. But again, Jackalaco uses that slipstream, uses that ERS, that extra 160 brake horsepower to close the gap. Looking to the right hand side again and has to back out of it. That's MX looking for his braking point. No one can quite find it. But still 5-car train and one more catch from Patterson in P6. Sumo left the session probably vastly frustrated with this one. This is MX on the back of Ghost though. Is he going to go for the dive bomb into turn 4? No, he's not. He's going to be sensible and think about that one a little bit longer than he might usually for others. Vardy, Jacko, Aces, Ghost and MX your top 5. Patterson P6, no changes as of yet at the front, but Jackalaco really putting that pressure on. One more lap until we get the benefit of DRS, that drag reduction system, as I say, extra 20 kph. Vardy going in very deep though over that curb, really swamped his exit. The AlphaTauri now looking, and all he needs is a good run off of this corner of turn 11 down towards turn 12 and 13. They're going to be bumper to bumper to bumper almost, the top 3, 2 tenths separating them as the Williams looks to put the pressure on the AlphaTauri. And he's going to look to the left-hand side. Is he? No. They're all going to stay sensible. They're all going to stay in single file as they go through the chicane one more time. All going to wait for that DRS. But Vardy's still holding his nerve, saving that ERS as he always does. He is very good at saving his ERS in pressurized situations, and that allows him to stay on top. But Jackalaco just does not want to get desperate. He cannot afford to get desperate. Because he run out of ERS and he might plummet down the order. DRS now enabled. The detection point is I think after the line. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's on the line. We are going to get the benefit of DRS though. That drag reduction system. Here comes the AlphaTauri to the right hand side towards turn 1. Takes the race lead. The Williams can't quite fight it. A bit of a lockup from Vardy as he gets an incredible run off of turn 2. It's back up the inside for turn 3. The 2 race leaders running side by side. Here comes Aces back up the inside of the AlphaTauri. The door was open and he's not going to go for 1 but 2 moves down the inside of turn 4. There's contact. He's tagged the AlphaTauri and there goes Ghost into P2. It's an Aston Martin 1-2. MX rounds off the podium as now side by side goes Jackalaco trying to recover. Aces around the outside. What a chaotic lap this is. Aces not waiting around at all, was very much in a rush to get through. Davila I think has left the session. He's had a spin. He's going to finish P9 and Vardy leads from Ghost in P2. MX up into P3 with DRS enabled. That was always going to happen. Vardy had an incredible run and I think Jackalaco around the outside of turn 3 just left the door open, and then Aces up the inside again, got a bit tagged and that sent him round. But yeah, Vardy still under a load of pressure on this penultimate lap from his teammate and MX and Aces. They're all still within this fight. Any one of these top 5 can definitely challenge for it. Palv's still trying to get himself into the top 7. Let's look into the left hand side as MX into this chicane of 15 and 16. That's definitely not going to work. But Vardy still Leading the way comes to be the Williams of Aces, looking to use that soft tyre grip. Both of the soft tyre runners in the top 5, MX and Aces, both doing incredibly well as you go on to the final lap of this race now, lap 13 of 13. Vardy looking to go for a double podium and his first win. Ghost looking to go for his first podium of the night here in Sochi. MX closing though. Ghost not with a lot of ERS. He's closing. MX has wasted all of it though. Looks to the right hand side. Can't quite go for it. They're all going to wait for that second DRS straight. They can't leave it too long as MX goes to the inside, making that as tight as one as possible through turn 3. And everyone trying to save their ERS, and that's where Vardy is so strong. He's still got 57% ERS left to use. Everyone else nearly sub 10. And that's where Vardy's probably going to win this race. The fact he's got that ERS to defend with, and I think it's going to be a fight for second between Ghost, MX and Aces, who's looking to make it 2 podiums in 2. So too with Vardy. But Jack Lacko definitely going to be frustrated that he didn't win this race because he definitely had the pace to. Into the pit. I don't think his AI is coming in for a new front wing. And Carlos has managed to get into the top 7, but here we go then down this back DRS straight for the final time. Aces on the back of MX. Anyone going to go for a cheeky little send in towards turn 12 and 13? They're going to be very close. The Williams especially on the back of the Alfa Romeo, who defends to the left hand side. He goes. He's going to look to dance it around the outside. The door opens, but again can't quite convert. Vardy struggling. Ghost putting that pressure on his teammate. Are they going to bring it home for a 1-2? Again, bit of contact into that final chicane between MX and the Williams is going to go around the outside. In fact, Jack Lacko looking to get involved. Bit of contact. He might actually go for both of them, get himself back onto the podium. Looks to the right hand side. Very desperate move. A dive bomb up the inside. MX around the outside off the track. Jack Lacko very aggressive and side by side across the line. Vardy wins the Russian Grand Prix. Brings it home for an Aston Martin P1 and 2. Jack Lacko rounds off the podium. MX 4th with Aces in P5. A very, very chaotic end to what it was a very, very chaotic Russian Grand Prix. Any one of those top 5 could have won that race. An absolute mad one. And Vardy, very rightly so, driver of the day. I think it also could have gone to Aces. But after 13 laps, 26 laps total of very, very intense racing, the Aston Martins having an absolutely incredible day in the office. P1 and 2, and Vardy, I think, is definitely back. He takes the win ahead of his teammate Ghost in P2. Jack Lacko rounds off the podium with MX P4. Aces rounding off the top 5. Paus managing to get himself into P6 with Tyr P7 and Blair P8. Davila in P9. And those who didn't finish, unfortunately, Patterson, Sumo, Gilbert, Starry, Kington, Ted and Gamer. Unfortunately unable to do so. A great, incredible drive from Ghost, of course, having that spin on lap 1 and recovering under safety guard to take home P2, and incredible points, an entire 39 points going home to the Aston Martin garage, and the fastest lap of that session, a 33.1. So still the fastest lap record remains. Speed Alcoholic set a 32.7, I believe it was, last season. Well, that being said, been 2 very, very intense races. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I have. That was round 2 of the APPF1 Sprint Championship. I'll see you in a week's time, this time at next Sunday, of course. Also on Friday, the Tier 1 Championship. Do not miss that, because that's also going to be an absolute thriller. But for myself, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute, it's just been a joy to commentate on this. And this series always delivers in terms of action and numbers. But until next time, guys, have an absolute amazing evening. Have an incredible week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.